How can you make $100 a day in 2022? Well, there are tons of ways, and in actual fact, that amount of money is still considerably less than the average median wage in the US in the third quarter of 2021, which was $1,001 per week. So yes, $100 is great and can change a lot of things, but hopefully with these few ideas, you can go on to make even more than $100 per day. I remember many times when I was younger, searching Google, ways to make money online. And this usually came when a friend suggested, let's go away on holiday. And I knew there's no way I could afford that. And well, it became a pattern, and I found myself doing it frequently until I actually started implementing the things that I was finding. I landed on a few different methods and they actually stuck and increased the amount of money I was making every single day, which ended up really helping me. Have you ever done that? Search Google, ways to make money online. There's no shame in it. I mean, if you look at the Google Keyword Planner tool, you can see that between 100,000 and 1 million people search that term every single month. Maybe you just want to travel, or I don't know, buy the latest gadget, or honestly just feel more comfortable with the amount of money you have and less stressed that your money is disappearing every single month. Now, in an ideal world, we would just walk up to our boss and say, hey, mate, can I please have a raise? It's been a while. But in a realistic world, that could probably land us in a bit of trouble. Before I go over these ideas, please bear in mind that some of these ideas might be considered passive income, whilst others are a lot more active, which means you have to do a lot more work. So let's get right into it. The first idea is dividends. This is something I have been doing for the last 11 months and it's been absolutely amazing. First, let me quickly explain what a dividend is. Owning a piece of a company in the form of a stock means you're eligible to get some of their profit. And some companies pay you out in the form of a dividend. It's their way of saying thank you for owning a piece of their company, because not all companies offer a dividend, only some offer a dividend. For example, BP pays out a dividend yield of 4.79% per year. This is paid quarterly. So if you own £100, you would get just over £4 a year. Now I know that doesn't seem like anything, but think of this long term. If you carefully pick the right companies, and I don't mean picking the company with the highest yield, because you want to pick a company based on their history and based on their future potential, because at the end of the day, you want that company to grow. For example, if you picked AT&T, who have a dividend yield of 8.39%, and you invested $3,000 per year, which is $8.21 per day, basically the cost of a Frappuccino and a Starbucks cookie, well, you would end up getting $100 per day in 30 years' time. And as well as that, the stock could go up, the yield could go up, so this time frame could become a lot shorter. In those 30 years, you want to make sure that you are reinvesting those dividend payouts. I know, 30 years is a really long time, but these are the types of things you want to be doing to increase your wealth long term and also be creating generational wealth. Of course, please bear in mind, these things can go down too, and your money is at risk. I am not a financial expert. At the end of the day, this is a risk. I think it's brilliant, and so do so many other people, which is why I do it. Idea number 2 is digital courses. Teaching is a great way for you to make some extra money, and there are many ways that you can teach. You can teach in person, you can teach on YouTube, or you can teach via a course. The most passive way is probably via a course, and that's because it only requires you to make the course, and once you've made it, you're good to go, and all you have to do is focus on getting more and more students. Now, if you think you have absolutely nothing to teach, please rethink that. If you can use any particular specialty computer program like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, iMovie, Canva, Procreate, Excel, it doesn't matter. You could create a course showing others how to use that. In fact, even if you can use the Mac operating system, you could create a course for the older generation. And that's something my mum has been asking me to create for her for years. Just a course showing how to use the Mac operating system. I know, there's a lot of people out there that actually need it. The topics are endless, to be honest. I mean, I've only mentioned computer programs, but you've got like photography, if you're good at photography, videography, maybe yoga and meditation. Maybe you can play an instrument. It doesn't matter. The ideas are literally endless. After coming up with an idea and a solid plan, you can use your phone to shoot those ideas. Just make sure you have some good lighting and a good mic so that when you're recording, it actually, looks good and the quality is good, but you don't need to have a fancy camera if you can't afford it. Then you can upload that course onto Udemy or Skillshare. The reason I recommend these two is, one, they both come with their own marketplaces, and two, they're incredibly popular. So you can upload your courses to those two platforms and then let the traffic come in organically. With Udemy, you set a price, and then when you get a sale, you get paid. With Skillshare, it's slightly different. Because it's a monthly subscription based platform, you get just a portion based on the number of minutes that someone has watched your course. So the more minutes that people spend on your course, the more you will get paid. Now, as well as that, you can also get paid by sending people to Skillshare via referrals. Okay, so definitely write down a long list of your skills and your interests. And remember, you don't need to be a master. You just have to be more knowledgeable than someone else. And at the end of the day, if someone decides to take your course and they like it, brilliant. All I'll say is just watch out and try not to fall into the category of fake guru selling get rich quick schemes and all that kind of stuff. Idea number 3. Getting interest on your cryptocurrency portfolio using a platform called BlockFi. Now, this video isn't sponsored by BlockFi, it's just a pretty cool company that pays good interest. This is a great idea that allows you to collect interest on your cryptocurrency portfolio. Now, if you don't hold any kind of cryptocurrency and you don't plan to in the future, then you should probably just skip this one because it's a bit irrelevant. But if you do hold or you do plan to buy some coins down the line, then it makes a lot of sense to hold them in a BlockFi account. Basically, BlockFi has an interest-bearing account for cryptocurrency where you can earn up to 9.5% annually, which is pretty awesome. You do have to bear in mind though, this is slightly more dangerous than something like dividends, and that's because BlockFi isn't actually backed by the government and is not subject to FDIC or SIPC. So your money could potentially be at risk if something was to happen to the company. Now, saying that, BlockFi does use partner company Gemini as its custodial service. And Gemini does have its own insurance for deposits, but because BlockFi hasn't actually experienced a hack for users' funds, it's hard to say how good the insurance actually is. Again, this is just another awesome way to earn passive income on a portfolio that you already have or that you plan to have anyway. So what I would recommend doing is, because obviously this is a lot more complicated than the other ideas in this video, have a read of this article. I'll link it down below where you could, it's a full review basically of BlockFi, and I didn't make it, but it's a full review of BlockFi where you can really understand what it is, what they're offering, and if it's something worth your time. Idea number 4 is index funds. Index funds is a way for you to invest in all of the big companies without having to do much research. Rather than invest in individual companies like Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, the easiest thing to do would be to invest in something like the VFIAX, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. It will often follow a benchmark stock like Dow Jones or the S&P 500. Now, when it comes to index funds, there's something known as the 4% rule, which, to be honest, is slightly dated now, but for the most part it does still apply. And this is when you can comfortably withdraw 4% of your savings in your first year and adjust that amount for inflation for every subsequent year without risking running out of money for at least 30 years. This idea is better suited to those that just want a really comfortable retirement and not those looking to earn money right this second, because you would need around $1 million in your retirement account to be getting around $110 every single day. Now, if we work it out, the S&P 500 has returned a historic annualized average return of around 10.5% since its 1957 inception through to 2021, meaning you would have to invest $341 every single month for 30 years to reach that goal of 1 million in your portfolio, which would give you a very comfortable retirement. A number that doesn't actually seem so crazy. I'm sure you didn't want to hear ideas that would take you 30 years, but in all honesty, these are the best ways to create passive income. And this is why I wanted to sprinkle some of those ideas into this video. Personally, I wish I could tell you how to make $1 million next week, but I just don't think anyone can. Idea number 5, and that is saving the difference. This is pretty straightforward, but for some it will be really hard to do, and this is cutting back on your costs. For the last 2 years, I have been tracking pretty much all of my spending. Well, I say all, but sometimes I forget because it gets really monotonous to just input all of that data every single time I buy something or I go and do a food shop or something. However, recently I've actually been using an app called Emma, which tracks everything. Again, this video is not sponsored. I just thought it was a really cool app. It tracks all of your expenditure, everything, your income, your outgoings, all of it. It's a really, really cool app. And I've been using that to be able to track everything that's going out and whittle down things that just aren't important. Anyway, if you actually have a look at your monthly expenditure, you might find a couple of hundred, if not maybe even $1,000 worth of things that you could cut back on that just aren't important. If we have a look at my expenses for the last month, we can see a couple of things which I could probably work on. With Amazon, I spent £613, and with takeouts, I spent over £200. So 2 areas that I could definitely work on. What I would recommend if you want to kind of immediately have more money and save more money, then just have a look at the last 2 to 3 months of expenditure and see what you can cut back on, see what isn't important, see what you're not using. Maybe you have a subscription to something that you didn't even notice was going out. Well, cancel that subscription and have a look if you can get rid of any unhealthy spending patterns. And finally, idea number 6, private tutoring. This is very similar to digital courses in the sense of harnessing your skills to teach someone else something. Except the difference is, I feel that private tutoring is catered to a much younger audience. Yes, you've got adults who also like private tutoring, but most of the time it's going to be kids in school. There are so many subjects, so many topics like English, maths, languages, sciences, instruments that you could probably help someone with. And at the most basic level, a lot of parents will just pay for someone to come in and do homework with their children because either they're at work, they don't have time, they're making dinner, whatever it is. And you don't even need to be specialized in anything. You just have to help, an 8-year-old with their English homework or something. It's actually a really good way to make money. For about 7 years, I was tutoring someone in art and it was absolutely amazing. I didn't take it any further just because I don't think I had the time. However, my co-host on the podcast, Young, Dumb and Broke, he currently does this, and at his peak, he was earning £1,400 every single month, which is a huge amount of money for private tutoring. In terms of finding students, well, firstly, you could go to Facebook groups, to your local community Facebook groups where you've got parents who just ask for help in different areas. You can also ask your younger siblings if you have, or if your friends have younger siblings, you can ask them to pass it around school that you're helping with maths or you're helping with playing the guitar or whatever it is. You'll be surprised how quickly these things spread. And what you'll find is as soon as you get 1 or 2, those parents will start talking to other parents who will recommend you, if you're good, that is, and it just gets passed around so quickly and you end up getting 5, 6, 7 kids that you are teaching. This idea isn't passive at all. I completely understand that you're going to have to put the hours in to get paid. It's also probably not a long-term thing. It can really work, especially if you then use that money and do one of the other ideas on this list, like investing. Now, if you want to actually work it out, you would probably need 2 to 3 students every single day, which is about 2 to 3 hours of your time, which you could probably do in the evening, and that would pay you around $100 every single day. Hopefully, you're able to implement some of these things and there'll be no more stressing over money and whether or not you can afford this or afford that. And hopefully, you'll be able to relax a bit when the thought of retirement comes into play because you would have planned for it. And at the end of the day, all of these ideas require you to stick with it long term. Now, if you want to make money a little quicker, still not getting rich quick schemes, but a little quicker, and just another idea that I didn't mention here, check this video out where I interview my brother who is making an absolute killing using Fiverr and selling online services. It's really, really cool, so check that video out.